She is the icon, the legend, Gloriana, the Virgin Queen, a woman who ruled alone in a man's world for over 40 years, a semi-divine figure who held the fate of nations in her slender hands. Her greatest strength, her political masterpiece, was her unmarried, childless state. By refusing to take a husband, she kept her kingdom independent, her courtiers loyal, and the great princes of Europe in a perpetual hopeful dance for her favor. Her virginity was not just a personal choice. It was an instrument of statecraft, the very bedrock of her golden age, a symbol of a nation wedded only to itself. But behind the carefully constructed icon was a woman of passion, of profound loneliness, and of a deep, abiding, and politically incandescent love. His name was Robert Dudley, her sweet Robin, her childhood friend, her companion in the terror of the Tower of London, the man whose presence at her side was a constant, scandalous whisper throughout her reign. He was the master of the horse, but everyone knew he was the master of her heart. Their love was the great unfulfilled romance of the 16th century, a story of a queen who, in the end, chose her head over her heart, her duty over her desire. But the human heart is not an instrument of state. It is a wild, unpredictable, and often reckless thing. We know the story of the queen who ruled alone. But what if the greatest secret of her reign was not a matter of state, but a matter of blood? What if the legend of the Virgin Queen was the most magnificent, most audacious, and most successful lie ever told? What if, in the early, passionate, and perilous years of her reign, Elizabeth I had a secret child? Let us travel back to the year 1561. It is a time of immense promise and even greater peril. The young Queen Elizabeth is on the throne, not yet the legend, but a brilliant survivor, navigating a kingdom still raw from the religious violence of her sister Mary's reign. The man she loves, Robert Dudley, is a recent widower, his name forever tainted by the scandal of his wife Amy's mysterious death at the bottom of a staircase. A public marriage is politically impossible. It would tear the kingdom apart. But they are young. They are deeply in love, and they are together in the hothouse atmosphere of the royal court. In the late autumn of that year, the Queen's public appearances become less frequent. To conceal a royal pregnancy was considered a logistical impossibility, an act that defied the very nature of court life where a queen's body was public domain. It required a conspiracy of almost unimaginable loyalty and deception on a national scale. Under the pretext of a prolonged illness requiring the country air of a remote palace, Elizabeth retreated from the world, locking herself away with the only 4 people on earth she could trust with her life, her love, and her dynasty. Those 4 people were her lover, Robert Dudley, her old governess, Cat Ashley, her chief minister, Sir William Cecil, and her most trusted lady of the bedchamber. For William Cecil, a man obsessed with order and legitimacy, this was a choice between 2 apocalypses. On one hand, a secret bastard heir, a legal monstrosity that could unravel at any moment. On the other, the immediate certainty of a civil war and the succession of the Catholic Mary Queen of Scots, which would mean the end of Protestant England and his own execution. He chose the lie. He chose to manage the secret, not because he supported it, but because it was the only path, however perilous, that kept his Protestant England alive. In the dead of winter, in the most secure and secret rooms of a remote country palace, the conspiracy reaches its climax. The Queen gives birth. It is a boy, a healthy, living son. He is the one thing her father craved, but for her, this child is the most dangerous secret in the world. A plan born of love and terror swings into motion. The child is spirited away under the cover of darkness, a prince turned into a foundling. He is placed into the care of the Sidney family, a noble house of unimpeachable loyalty and discretion. Sir Henry Sidney was Robert Dudley's own brother-in-law. The cover story was that of a distant ward, a common arrangement for the time, but one that did not entirely quell speculation. The boy is given a new name, Arthur Sidney. His true identity known to that handful of people who had gambled their lives on this secret. This single, hidden act now reframes the entire reign of Queen Elizabeth I. Her famous, lifelong refusal to marry is no longer just a brilliant political strategy. It is a deeply personal necessity. She cannot marry a foreign prince. What would she do about her hidden son? She cannot publicly marry Robert Dudley. To do so would be to unravel the great lie. The Virgin Queen persona is not a choice, it is a shield, a brilliant, necessary, and heartbreaking piece of political theater. The years pass. The boy, Arthur, grows up at the magnificent estate of Penshurst Place. He receives the finest education imaginable. He is a young man of remarkable talent and charisma, a true Renaissance prince, though he does not know it. He was the Sidney boy, but everyone at court could see he was treated with a special, unspoken reverence by the Queen and her favorite, which fueled endless, though dangerously whispered speculation. And his parents must watch him from a distance. Imagine the torment. Robert Dudley, as a close family friend, can be a patron, a mentor, a favorite uncle, but he can never look him in the eye and call him son. Every visit is a mixture of pride and profound, secret grief. And for Elizabeth, the pain is even greater. She is the queen, a remote, semi-divine figure. She sees her son at court, a handsome and brilliant young man, but she must treat him with the same regal benevolence she shows to all her promising young courtiers. She must be a goddess to the one person on earth she yearns to be a mother to. This secret also explains the almost pathological nature of her indecision regarding the succession. In our history, Elizabeth's refusal to name an heir was a political tactic. In this timeline, it is an agonizing necessity. She cannot name Mary, Queen of Scots, or her son James. She has her own son. But she cannot name Arthur. To do so would be to ignite the civil war she has spent her life trying to prevent. So she prevaricates. She delays. Her famous rages on the subject are a mask for her impossible dilemma. The execution of Mary, Queen of Scots in 1587 is still a tragic political necessity. But in this world, it has a deeper motive. It is not just about removing a Catholic rival. It is the act of a mother protecting her child's future. As the Arthur grows into manhood, he becomes Sir Arthur Sidney. He is a fine soldier, a poet, a man who embodies the very ideal of the Elizabethan courtier. He is, in every way, the perfect heir. And a few trusted people, the inner circle, are brought into the conspiracy. The spy master, Sir Francis Walsingham, a man who lives in a world of secrets, becomes a key player. They form a secret king's party, a government within a government, dedicated to ensuring the true succession.
In 1588, Robert Dudley dies, the one man who shared her secret, her love. Her burden is gone, but he leaves behind a locked box. Inside, a letter for his son, Arthur, containing the whole, astonishing truth, to be opened only upon the queen's death. The queen lives on, a solitary figure. In her final years, she might grow even closer to the man who is her son, now a respected member of her privy council. She sees in him the king he was born to be. She relies on his counsel with a quiet, secret pride. Then comes the year 1603. The great queen is dying. The court is a nest of anxiety. The council, led by William Cecil's pragmatic son, Robert Cecil, has spent years meticulously planning for a smooth succession with James VI of Scotland. They have a mountain of correspondence and legal groundwork in place. On her deathbed, surrounded by her council, Elizabeth makes her final, stunning move. With her last ounce of strength, she refuses to name James. Instead, she gestures to Arthur Sidney, who stands vigil by her side. She gives him a key that hangs on a ribbon around her neck, a key to a locked box containing Dudley's letter and other proofs of his birth. And with her dying breath, she utters the words that will change the world. "Let my son be my successor." The council chamber is thrown into absolute chaos, disbelief, confusion, then a slow, dawning realization. The story seems impossible, but the proof is there. The letter, the testimony of a few aging loyal servants, the Queen's own dying declaration, and the man himself, a man they all know and respect. Robert Cecil, a man who worshipped stability above all, faced an impossible choice. The planned heir, James, was a foreigner, an absolutist, and an unknown quantity who would bring his own hungry Scottish courtiers south. The surprise heir, Arthur, was a proven quantity, an Englishman, a respected soldier and counselor, and the son of the woman they all revered. Cecil made the pragmatic choice, not for romance, but for England. He chose the devil he knew. The announcement is made, not King James of Scotland, but King Arthur I of England, the secret son of Queen Elizabeth and Lord Robert Dudley. The Tudor-Dudley dynasty has begun. The consequences are world-altering. The Stuart succession is completely erased. The union of the Scottish and English crowns does not happen in 1603. Scotland remains an independent and often hostile northern kingdom. There is no King James I, with his belief in the divine right of kings. There is no King Charles I, whose clashes with Parliament, born from that same absolutist ideology, would lead to the bloody English Civil War. The entire, brutal, transformative story of the 17th century, the execution of a king, the rise of Cromwell, the Glorious Revolution, the Bill of Rights, is completely averted. The relationship between the Crown and Parliament evolves down a different, perhaps more peaceful, but fundamentally altered path under a new, popular, and native dynasty. The great legend of the Virgin Queen is revealed to be a lie, but it is replaced by an even greater romance, the story of a queen who bore a secret son and, through a lifetime of sacrifice and brilliant political theater, successfully placed him on the throne, securing her love and her lineage for all time. Her reign is no longer seen as a magnificent solo performance, but as the first act in a new dynastic story. Her solitude was a strategy. Her prevarication was a shield. Her entire life was a magnificent, desperate, and ultimately triumphant struggle to protect the son she could never publicly acknowledge. And the ghost of that secret child haunts our history, a silent testament to a world where the greatest political legend of all was born from the most human of secrets. If you enjoyed this journey into a history that never was, please like this video and subscribe for more trips down the paths not taken.